All right. Good afternoon, algebra. So this is today's practice quiz that I left for you guys. I hope you all are having a good day. So as I said yesterday, the practice quiz, we are going to have 5 problems, 3 of which you have to solve using a specific method, and 2 of which you can solve using whichever method you want. And they're all systems. So let's look at the first one. The first one says solve the following system by graphing, which is the first one we learned. And I have the system, which is y equals 1/2 x minus 2, and y equals -3/2 x minus 6. So I'm going to graph each of these. So if I want y equals 1/2 x minus 2, that's going to start at -2. And the rise over run there is 1/2. It's the number out front. So it's going up 1, right 2. So up 1, right 2. Take me to this point. What is that? 2, -1. And from there, I'm going to graph this line. So let's see. Just a second. So yeah. Wait. When I graph it, it'll look like that. And the next one I want to graph is this y equals -3/2 x minus 6. So that one is going to start at -6. And that is a slope of -3/2. So that means the rise over run is going to be -3/2. So I'm going down 3 and right 2. So from this orange 6 there, I'm going down 1, 2, 3, and right 2. So 1, 2. That takes me to this point, 2, -9. So I have that, and I am going to plot a line through these 2 points now. Something like that. Yeah, I'll go with that way. All right. So I plotted the line, or I plotted both those lines, and the solution to this system of equations is just where the 2 lines cross. Even though it's not perfect, they clearly cross at -2, -3. So my solution is -2, -3. So that's my solution to this system. Just have to graph both lines, figure out where they cross. The second problem, this one I want to solve the system using substitution. And remember, substitution, the first thing we have to do is solve for one of the variables. And just looking at both these equations, it's very clear that the easiest variable to solve for is going to be this x in the second equation, because I can get that all by itself pretty simply. With any of the others, I'd have to do some division. So if I want to get this x by itself, I'm going to take this x minus 3y equals 10. And I will add 3y to both sides. So then I'm going to have x equals 3y plus 10. So now that I have x equals 3y plus 10, I'm going to take that and substitute it in to this first equation. So now I'm going to have, let's see, 4, and instead of x, I'm going to say 3y plus 10, and then plus that 4y, it's going to equal -24. I'll distribute, so now I have 4 times 3y is 12y, 4 times 10 is 40, and then I still have that plus 4y there on the end, equals -24. I want to combine my like terms here on the left side, so 12y plus 4y is 16y, plus 40 equals negative 24. Subtract 40 from both sides. And then we're going to have 16y equals negative 64. Divide both sides by 16. And y equals negative 4. So now I know that y equals negative 4, and I can use this to solve x. Because remember, it's a system, it needs two numbers. I need an x and a y. So I'm going to take that and plug it in to here. So I have x equals 3, and then y was negative 4 plus 10. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, so I have x equals negative 12 plus 10, and negative 12 plus 10 is negative 2. So x is negative 2, y is negative 4, therefore my solution is negative 2, negative 4, because remember the x always comes first. All right, so that was solving by substitution. This third one is solving by elimination. And I can see these two equations, and let's see, just from the get-go, nothing looks like it's gonna be eliminated when I combine them. But let's see, I'm looking at the x's. I have 5x and 4x. Those don't share any common factors. So there's nothing I'm really gonna multiply either of those equations by to cancel out the x's. But I'm looking at the 6 and the negative 2, and I know that if I multiply that negative 2 times 3, I'll have negative 6y. And then when I add everything together, things will cancel out. So I'm going to take this entire second equation and multiply everything by 3. So let's see, 3 times 4x is 12x, actually. Sorry, I will bring that over here to the side. So I'm going to rewrite my first equation, that 5x plus 6y equals 33. And then I said 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times negative 2y is negative 6y. And 3 times negative 28, let me pull out my calculator for that one. It's negative 84. So now that I multiplied everything by 3, I can see that this 6y and this minus 6y are going to cancel out when I combine everything. So let's see. I'm going to add both these equations together. So I have 33 minus 84 is going to be negative 51. I have my equal sign right there. 6y minus 6y, 0y, so just 0. And then 5x plus 12x is 17x. So I have 17x equals negative 51. If I divide both sides by 17, x equals negative 3. So I got x equals negative 3. And now I can take that negative 3 and plug it into either of these equations from the beginning to solve for y. So I'll just go with the first equation because that one is the one that we didn't use. So I have 5 times negative 3 plus 6y, because I don't know what y is yet, is going to equal 33. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15, plus 6y equals 33. I'll add 15 to both sides. And then I have 6y equals 48. And from there, I just have to divide both sides by 6. And I get y equals 8. So x equals -3, y equals 8. So my solution is -3, 8. All right, so that's how to solve by elimination. And let's look at these last two. And on these last two, I will be solving them in all three methods. So you may want to skip forward a little bit in the video if you can't find the method that you used or that you prefer. So let's see. Looking at this first one, I'll just do them in order. I'll do graphing, then substitution, then elimination. So if I were to solve this by graphing, that means I have to get x, or that means I have to get y all by itself. So let's see, this first equation, the first thing I want to do, well, I have x plus 6y equals 36. Subtract x from both sides. So I have 6y equals -x plus 36. Divide both sides by 6. So then I get y equals -1/6 x, and then 36 divided by 6 is just 6. So y equals -1/6 x plus 6 for my first equation. So I'll go ahead and graph that one while I have it. So it has a y-intercept of 6 and a slope of -1/6. So the rise over run is -1/6, meaning I'm going down 1, right 6. So I'm going down 1 and right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which takes me to this point, 6, 5. And now I'm going to create a line. And there we go. Now I need to check out this other equation. So I have 3x minus 2y equals 8. So with this one, I'll do it in, let's say, purple. So I'll just rewrite it, 3x minus 2y equals 8. I want to subtract 3x from both sides because I want to get that y all by itself. So that's going to give me -2y equals -3x plus 8. I'll divide both sides by that -2. That's going to give me y equals -3 divided by -2 is just 3/2. It's positive 3 over 2. And then I have that x. And then 8 divided by -2 is -4. So y equals 3/2 x minus 4. And this is the next equation I want to graph. So let's see. I'm going to put a point at -4. And my slope was 3/2, meaning I want to be going up 3, right 2. So 1, 2, 3, and then right 1, 2. Which takes me to this point, 2, -1. Oh, what happened? Oh, okay. For some reason, I'm on the wrong graph. All right, there we go. So now I'm going to graph this. Dang it. Something like that. And we can see that if I were to solve this by graphing, these two lines would cross at the point 6, 5. So my solution by graphing is 6, 5. If you choose to do a different method, such as substitution or elimination, you don't have to put anything on the graph. The graph is just there if you choose to solve by graphing. But elimination or substitution might be easier. So that was graphing. Now let's do elimination, or substitution, sorry. We'll do substitution first. I'll leave the graph there, because why not? So substitution, looking at these two equations, the easier one, or the easiest variable to solve for, looks like this x in this first equation. So to solve for that x in that first equation, I'm just going to subtract 6y from both sides. So if x plus 6y equals 36, I'll subtract 6y from both sides, and that's going to give me x equals negative 6y plus 36. And now I'm going to take this second equation and replace the x with negative 6y plus 36. So I have 3 times negative 6y plus 36 minus 2y equals 8. I'll distribute this 3. So let's see. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. Y. 3 times 36, what is that? That is 108. And then I have minus 2y equals 8. I'll combine like terms on the left side. So I'm going to have negative 20y plus 108 equals 8. Subtract 108 from both sides. Which is going to be negative 20y equals negative 100. And divide both sides by negative 20 to get y equals 5. So I got y equals 5. And now I'm going to plug that in to this equation that I have for x to get x as well. So x is going to equal negative 6 times that 5 that I solved plus 36. So negative 6 times 5 is negative 30 plus 36. And negative 30 plus 36 is 6. So x equals 6, y equals 5. The exact same solution that I got when I solved by graphing, which was 6, 5. All right, and here's the solution if you chose to solve by elimination. So if I choose to solve by elimination, there's two different things I could do here. I see that if I want to cancel out the y's, I could multiply the entire second equation by 3, and then the y's will cancel out. If I want to cancel out the x's, I can multiply the entire first equation by negative 3, and then the x's will cancel out. I'm going to do the positive 3 for the second equation, just because I feel like it's easier to multiply a positive number than a negative number. So to solve by elimination, let's see, I'm going to rewrite my first equation. So x plus 6y equals 36. And then 3 times 3x is 9x. 3 times negative 2y is negative 6y. And 3 times 8 is 24. Let's see. Then I will add both these equations together. 36 plus 24 is 60. (6y) minus 6y is just 0 or 0y. And then x plus 9x is 10x. So I have 10x equals 60. divide both sides by 10, and x equals 6. So that means x equals 6, and now I want to solve what y equals. I'll just use my first equation. So let's see, I said x equals 6, so I have 6 plus 6y equals 36. I'll subtract 6 from both sides. So I have 6y equals 30. Divide both sides by 6. Y equals 5. So yet again, I get my solution of 6, 5. So no matter which method you used here, you should have gotten 6, 5 as your answer. All right, and then the last one, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do all 3 methods. You guys, remember, you guys only have to do one, but I'm just showing you because there's multiple different ways that you could have done this, so I don't know which way you guys chose to do it. And I'll just go in order again. So first thing I want to do is graphing. So let's see, if I have this negative 2x plus 5y equals 25, I want to get that y all by itself. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides, which gives me 5y equals 2x plus 25. Divide both sides by 5. So I have y equals, well, 2 divided by 5 is just 2/5. X and plus 25 divided by 5 is just 5. So I have 2/5 x plus 5. And I'll go ahead and graph that. So that one starts at 5. And it is a rise over run of 2/5. So I'm going up 2 over 5. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that takes me from this point 0, 5 to the point 5, 7. And while I'm at it, I will connect those points. I'll make my line. And there we go. So that is that first line, that negative 2x plus 5y equals 25, which is also known as y equals 2/5 x plus 5. Now, I'll do the second line. So 4x plus 2y equals negative 14. I want to get y by itself. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So I have 2y equals negative 4x minus 14. Divide both sides by 2 to get y all by itself. And then I have y equals negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. X, and negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. So y equals negative 2x minus 7. So I'm going to graph this one as well. It has a y-intercept of negative 7 and a rise over run, a slope of negative 2, which means I'm going down 2 over 1. So down 2 and then right 1, which takes me to this point 1, negative 9. From there, I will graph my line. Is it supposed to look like that? Yeah. Okay, so there we go. That's what my line looks like once I graph it. And again, it may not be perfect, but we can see that when I graph it, they cross right there at the point negative 5, 3. So by graphing, my solution is negative 5, 3. Hopefully, when I do elimination or substitution, I will get the same answer. So let's do substitution next. All right, so for substitution, I want something that I'm going to be able to solve for pretty simply, and I don't see any immediate standouts because everything has a coefficient in front of it. If I were to solve for this x in the first equation, I would have to divide everything by -2, and neither this 5 nor this 25 is divisible by -2. If I were to solve for the y in the first equation, I'd have to divide everything by 5, and that 25 is divisible by 5, but that -2 isn't. If I want to solve for the x in the second equation, I would have to divide everything by 4, and neither that 2 nor that 14 is divisible by 4. But if I want to solve for the y in the second equation, I would have to divide everything by 2. And both that 4 and that -14 are divisible by 2. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for y in the second equation. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, which is 4x plus 2y equals -14. If you watch the part where I did the graphing, we already solved for y in the second equation actually, because I'm just going to subtract 4x from both sides. And I got 2y equals -4x minus 14. Divide both sides by 2, which gives me y equals, well, -4 divided by 2 is -2x, and -14 divided by 2 is -7. So y is -2x minus 7. So now that I got that, I'm going to plug it into the first equation. So I have -2x plus 5, and then my y, instead of y, I'm going to say -2x minus 7 equals 25. So let's see. I'll distribute that 5. So I'm going to have -2x. 5 times -2 is -10x, and 5 times -7 is -35, equals 25. So -2x minus 10x minus 35 equals 25. I'm going to combine like terms, so I have that -2x minus that 10x is -12x minus 35 equals 25. Add 35 to both sides. And I get -12x equals 60. Dividing both sides by -12 is going to give me x equals -5. So I got my x, now I need to get my y. I'm going to use this equation to do that. So I have y equals -2 times x, but x is -5, minus 7. -2 times -5 is positive 10, minus 7. And 10 minus 7 is 3. So I got x equals -5, y equals 3. So yet again, my solution is -5, 3, using substitution. And finally, if I were to use my third and final method, which is elimination, I'm looking at my equations. If I want to eliminate the y, it's going to be pretty tricky because 5 and 2 don't share any common factors. There's nothing I can really multiply that 2 by other than like a fraction to get the 5. But if I want to eliminate the x, that should be pretty simple because I can just take the entire first equation and multiply it by 2. Because then I'm going to have negative 4x in the first equation and 4x in the second equation. We're going to cancel out. So I'm going to multiply everything in the first equation by 2. And that is going to give me, well, I'll rewrite my equations. I have 2 times negative 2x is negative 4x. Actually, I'll bring them over here just for uniformity, like continuity. So I have 2 times negative 2x was negative 4x. 2 times 5y is 10y. And 2 times 25 is 50. And then my second equation, not doing anything to that, it's just the same equation. So I have negative 4x plus 10y equals 50. 4x plus 2y equals negative 14. And I'm going to add these two equations together. So I have the 50 minus 14 is 36. 10y plus 2y is 12y. And negative 4x plus 4x is 0. So I have 12y equals 36. And I want to divide both sides by 12, which gives me y equals 3. And now I want to use that to solve for x, and I'll just plug it into the equation that I didn't use, this 4x plus 2y equals negative 14. So let's see, I have 4x plus 2, and then y is 3, so 2 times 3. Equals negative 14. 2 times 3 is 6, so 4x plus 6 equals negative 14. Subtract 6 from both sides, which is going to give me 4x equals negative 20. And dividing both sides by 4 is going to give me x equals negative 5. So for the third time, I have x equals negative 5 and y equals 3. So that would be my solution, no matter which method I used. X equals negative 5, y equals 3. Oh, sorry, forgot to make that an ordered pair. But that would be the answer. So here are the answers to all 5 of these questions. If you guys need help, feel free to ask. But this should help. And I'll see you guys for the quiz tomorrow.